So you just graduated college. What's next? This is a phase that was like super confusing for myself, and I really have empathy towards all the people who just graduated in 2024. There's really no guideline or outline on what you're supposed to do, and the feeling of being kind of like depressed after graduating, super real. Because if you really think about it, you went from this environment where you built your ecosystem for the past 4 years, and you celebrated with your friends and family. It's a very exciting time. It's full of love. Think about it. You just walked across the stage with your best friends. Think of all the memories you had. You had third spaces where you saw your friends every day. You really didn't have to plan anything. And your surrounded environment full of people around your own age, which is very rare when you go into the workforce. So you graduated. Fast forward 4 or 5 months, you start working your first adult job. And then you realize you're bored out of your mind, sitting at your desk in a cubicle, whatever it is, and your friends are dispersed all across the states of America. It's really intimidating and scary, and your only real connection towards them is a text message, a phone call, and social media. So you finally go on your phone, you realize all your friends are traveling, doing all these exciting things, and automatically you start comparing yourself. Because in your reality, your world, you're going to this office, you talk to Bill in accounting, Mary in HR. It's just so boring. You start thinking, well, did I work this hard for the past 4 years to get this degree? And I thankfully landed a job. This is if you landed a job, okay? And this is it. It's really not that exciting, okay? So you kind of have this existential identity crisis where you're like, I don't really know where I fit in. I'm not sure what I want to do. I don't know if this job is for me. And is this what I have to do for the next 40 years until I retire? If you're lucky to retire. Yeah, this feeling is quite real, and getting sad is completely normal. I've been in that position. I've graduated 4 years ago from college during the peak of the pandemic, which is a very strange time because you never had that graduation or ceremony with your friends. It just kind of fast forwarded to being a young adult. And I moved from California back home to Colorado. I lived for 4 months in my mom's basement. And then I moved to Maryland for my first job. And didn't really know anyone. I was very green, right? I went into construction management consulting, and it was super intimidating. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but just what sounded right, especially with a undergrad in psych, where you really don't know what to do. I mean, you're 22, you're not really sure what the possibilities were. And I started to realize like I was working a 9 to 5 just to live a 5 to 9. And I realized that you had probably 5 hours out of the entire day to enjoy your life, plus the weekends. And when you're in a new environment, you really don't have a community, and you do get lonely, you do get depressed. And probably the first job you get out of college, you will not enjoy. Maybe even the second job you will not enjoy. And you realize that it's a job to make ends meet. So you pay off your debt or have an apartment and you can just live a comfortable life. But slowly over time, I realized that your values do change. Like that adrenaline rush of late adolescence, of just being reckless, having fun, living your like early 20s out. Yeah, you do go from that baseline to something that's extremely, extremely boring. But you start developing, I don't know, kind of your own career path of your own life, of what you want to expect. And you start to form an identity, like not based around your peers, but things you truly enjoy. Maybe that isolation, aloneness, and loneliness was important to you in your growth because you start to find out the things that matter. And the sad thing is some of your buddies and friends you made, you start drifting apart because you no longer shared those values, and maybe distance is an issue. While you do try your hardest to stay in touch with some of your buddies, it does get hard. A lot of my friends are still on the West Coast. I developed a brand new life on the East Coast. Little did I know that when I took that leap of faith, getting a job in Maryland, a place that I haven't been since 8th grade during my field trip to DC, it didn't make any sense at that time. It was a very difficult, arduous process because you start realizing like, holy shit, how am I supposed to date? How am I supposed to live my life? And you have all these fears, and being anxious during this time is completely normal. And that dread, it's completely natural. And I still deal with that anxiety of like, what am I doing this right? And you start to realize that no one really has anything fucking figured out. And all these YouTubers saying that, oh, I know what to do, find your passion. It's like, sometimes work is just work. And you kind of have to find something you don't hate, not necessarily you love, but you can like it about 80% of the time. 20% of the time you can dislike it, and that's completely normal. As well as people who pursue higher education, who go for PhDs and masters or MBAs, and then they work in consulting and investment banking for 2 years, and then they quit because they realize that's not what you wanted to do. It's because you went from this environment where everything was curated. You were told what the next step was. There was actually a path that you could follow. But once you kind of go on your own, which is difficult because you don't have that experience in going your own way, especially if you kind of followed the crowd of what people told you to do and you went along with it because it was safety in numbers, it's going to be a difficult thing. But slowly you do learn to walk on your own 2 feet. And that's what I did. I'm not going to say that my first 2 years out of college was glamorous. It was absolutely everything but that. Trust me, I doubted myself every single step of the way. And I really felt like an imposter. I was like, I'm really not sure what I'm doing here. And it's like life just fast forwarded and now you're working. And it's like, holy crap, like I really did take my friends in college probably for granted, and that's okay. But then I slowly found a community, and little did I know that I'd meet my fiance just 2 years after college. And fast forward, it's almost been 4 years. No, it has been 4 years actually since I graduated. And yeah, I'm about to get married next year, and that's fucking crazy. Then you start talking to your buddies and now they're engaged, and you know people getting married, or some people dropping out of their really high powered career to just travel and go to different countries. And that's okay, because there's not necessarily a goalpost or something to measure yourself by any means. But realize that there is an opportunity cost to everything you do. So if you decide to take maybe 2 years to go and travel, will you be a little behind in your career? Maybe, probably. But if you enjoyed every single second, you don't really have anything to complain about. Or maybe if you did go right into the workforce right after graduation, start seeing people traveling, doing these cool things, you're like, fuck, did I make a mistake? And I think that's the idea or concept that we struggle with, is not belonging anywhere. Because when you're doing something, you think you should be somewhere else. That's a terrible feeling, because no matter what you do, you feel like you're doing it wrong. But slowly but surely, you start to realize that there's no place I'd rather be but here. I'm not saying not to work your best or try your hardest in whatever endeavor you do, but keep your mind open. And you're going to struggle. You're going to feel completely lost, more lost than you've ever been. Because now you're dealing with bills, health insurance. When you turn 26 in the US, you get kicked off your parents, and you got to find a way to survive because no one gives a fuck about you. That's absolutely real. As well as navigating dating. That is extremely difficult, because now you go from an environment where you just bump into people at parties or hangouts or friends' house in college to now you have to go out of your own way and discover people. Yeah, you have to ask someone out that can be a complete stranger or a serial killer and take that risk. And you might even have to go on the dreaded dating apps. Thankfully, I never done that, but you're going to learn to deal with this. And you're going to get denied. You're going to get rejected a lot, because it's the same way with the workforce. You're at the bottom of the barrel. Sometimes you get lucky. You put your best foot forward, freak out again, and you keep going. You have to look at things at a bigger perspective, because I feel like when we were younger, we looked at everything in 4-year chunks. Think about elementary, middle school, high school, college. Everything was graded by these 4 years. But now you really don't have those 4 years as an adult. Things are just graded by your joy, things you like doing. And that's the beautiful part of growing up. But if you're watching this and you graduated, I have a lot of empathy for you. It's a very difficult time to try and navigate it. There's probably not a lot of resources on it. And the stress and expectations of trying to secure a job. I can imagine when you're unemployed trying to find a job, how difficult that is, getting rejected, building these CVs and resumes, going all these interviews and then getting rejected. Then once you finally get a job, you're like, holy shit, I did all of that just for this. Yeah. And you're going to have to struggle and find out what's important to you, right? Work-life balance or money, maybe a bit of both. Or maybe ditching your entire industry and finding something else. But yes, you have obligations, responsibilities more so than any other time of your life. Everyone expects you to live on your own. Everyone supported you. But now you have to fend for yourself. That's difficult and beautiful at the same time. And I'd like to express to you that I don't have everything figured out. I can't believe it's been 4 years since I graduated. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I started this YouTube channel when I was having an identity crisis. I still have them now, but things kind of started falling into place more than I ever could believe. And I felt like God or the universe allowed things to happen to me beyond my own comprehension. And while things didn't look like they were significant or mattered, a lot of the bad things that did happen to me opened up a lot of doors, and I'm grateful for those now in hindsight. But in the moments of struggles, I can't say that they were good. They just looked like they were negative. But you have to have trust in the universe and God, whatever it is, because things do fall into place. Sometimes life gets harder and more difficult, but you have to find a way out of it. And that responsibility is up to you. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I've been gone for the past 3 months. I've taken time to just enjoy life, go to therapy, work upon myself, and become happier. But I'm back. As always, wish you guys the best. Peace out. Namaste.